Good evening, everyone. This is going to be a bit different. I'm going to have to chop this up for Clapper, but it's a little easier for me just to do this in one video. I am on my way to listen to someone from the Texas nationalist movement. Texas nationalist is basically Texit. It is a group pushing for Texas to declare our independence. Now, we did this once from Mexico. We entered the Union by treaty, not by annexation or conquest. We split off with the Confederacy and then were brought back in by annexation in 1865. We are still the only state that has ever been our own country, for whatever that's worth. But there has been a movement, pretty much as long as I can remember, for us to be the Republic of Texas once again. I would wager that there has been at least some form of push for that since 1865. But it's becoming more popular now. The reason is more than just wanting it, although it is rather simple. DC has abandoned us. We've known that for quite a while, honestly. But it's become increasingly obvious since January of 2021. When Joe Biden was sworn in, when he was installed at the toilet, he issued executive order after executive order, something he said only a tyrant would do when referring to Trump. Many of them specifically targeted at undoing things Trump did. Two big examples. First, the southern border. He declared not one more mile of wall would be built and that people would not be deported. Now, this does affect all of the nation because there are illegals in every state. There are people who come here legally, overstay their welcome. There are people who come in illegally through all sorts of means. But the southern border is a sieve, and that should not be. Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, and California are bearing the brunt of this. Fentanyl and other illicit drugs, weapons, and sexual trafficking are the moneymakers at the border. For crying out loud, there was a young girl, and I'm talking probably younger than 10, that was found by Border Patrol who had been raped multiple times on the walk from, I believe, Guatemala to the border, early on in one of the first massive caravans. No one said a word about that. AOC was too busy crying while looking at an empty parking lot. They were too busy running stories about kids in cages, using photos from Obama's time in office to care. He also undid Trump's executive order that froze the cost of many life-saving medications, epinephrine pens, and insulin among them. Now, this allowed Big Pharma to make a lot of money, although if you watched his State of the Union, he's now saying he wants to freeze the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Something that Trump did, that Biden specifically undid, and now he's claiming credit for it. They have issued bills, although so far none have passed, but they've introduced bills such as H.R. 127 that will ultimately disarm the entire population. They think they're smart because they couch it in language that can be interpreted any way they want. One of the first, their bump stock ban was, and I quote, "any device which increases the standard rate of fire of a semi-automatic firearm." First of all, my fingers are such a device. And second of all, you cannot increase the standard rate of fire for a semi-automatic firearm. The standard rate of fire is you pull the trigger, it fires one round. A bump stock basically means you're pulling the trigger faster than you physically could without it. It's rocking the weapon so the trigger is pulled very rapidly, but still one trigger pull one round expended. They have their dogs in the ATF going after anything and everything they can. And the ATF will threaten to basically throw you into the black hole of Calcutta if you don't surrender certain items while there is a court case pending and a stay on their order. There have been several people who run gun stores who have said the ATF showed up, told them that they were there to either seize these items or make arrests. When they later found out there was a stay on their ability to do that, the ATF responded that they had already destroyed the illegal items and they never paid for them. So they basically lied, stole, and destroyed property. And because the Democrats like what they did, they're protected. We have gasoline prices almost $4 a gallon in Texas. I've never seen gas that high. We are approaching $5 national average if we're not already there. And if this continues, Trump's prediction of $7 a gallon will be right. Now, of course, the current mouthpiece, Jen Psaki, correctly stated that nothing is stopping oil and gas companies from drilling all they want. Nothing except the economy. You see, the problem they have is no one is buying it. The government is the largest purchaser of oil. If the government is not buying the oil from Shell or Gulf or whoever drilling here in the States, then they lose money for every barrel they drill. This would be the same as me saying, sure, you can build all of the houses you want. I'm just not going to let anybody buy them. I'm going to threaten private companies, threaten private individuals, and I'm not going to buy them. So you're free to lose money building houses, but you can't sell them because we're going to make it impossible. This is Orwell 101. What they say is technically true. Yes, we are free to drill all the oil we want. What they don't say is no company is going to drill right now because they can't sell it. This is the only time they actually appreciate capitalism. Because if it was true socialism and the federal government ran every business, they'd drill every drop of oil they could and just sell it to us at the same price that Russia, the 2% of the oil we were buying, or Venezuela or OPEC sells it. They would milk us the same way foreign countries do. But they can't federalize the industry, and they know it. So they just make it so that it is so cost ineffective that no company will drill oil. If Abbott had a brain in his head, he would tell producers, go drill Spindletop. The state of Texas will buy the oil, and we will refine it here. And we will then sell that gas to other states at the price we set. You also have people who are wrongly saying that Biden has no impact whatsoever on the price of gas. They blame Trump for 4 years for everything except the cost of tea in China. But when it's Biden, no. Shutting in the pipeline did not have any effect. Doing this has no effect. Doing this has no effect. It has every effect. Foreign policy and domestic policy definitely affect the prices of goods and services. I just wish I could get 5 minutes in front of a camera knowing that everyone in the country would see. Because I could explain these things. I could bring people on with me who could better explain things that I'm not the one that should be explaining them. But, of course, the media is beholden to the swamp. So the media is going to continue Operation Mockingbird, parroting everything the government tells them to. And because they're going to continue doing this, The unwashed masses, those who do not understand economics, the Constitution, and history, are going to continue panicking. We have a nation where 40 to 50% or better of the population are chicken littles. The price of gas goes up, and they believe, the media and Democrats, well, this is really Trump's fault because, well, he did this, which made the price lower, but the price always has to come back up, so it's really his fault. Wrong. George W. Bush gave Bill Clinton a good economy. Clinton tanked it. Herbert Walker Bush did that. George W. Bush brought the economy back with the help of Congress. And Obama tanked it. Obama even said, those jobs are not coming back. What magic wand do you have? Trump waved his magic wand and the jobs were coming back. Because all of a sudden it was more effective cost-wise to do business here than abroad. But they managed to install their new puppet, Joe Biden, and the economy is tanking. This has been the goal of the Democrats for longer than I've been alive. To destroy the economy, to foment division and hatred, and at the last moment, swoop in and say, if you'll just give up everything and surrender your entire life to our control, we can feed you. They just won't tell you it will be USSR-era Soviet bread and cheese lines. They won't tell you that they will have set up gulags all over the country for the dissidents who dare speak out. Folks, the day is coming. I personally believe we are very, very close to the end of days. I personally believe the church, the body of Christ on earth, will be removed from the planet prior to all of this going down. But it's still going to happen. And I'm not going to know if I'm right about the rapture or not until it happens or it doesn't. But you are going to need food, water, shelter, a way to generate power, or a way to live your life without it. Because the governments of the world are going to pull exactly what Orwell, Huxley, and Bradbury warned us about. They are going to put their controls in place so that they are the ultimate arbiters of what may and may not happen in every situation. They are going to kill anyone who opposes them. And they are going to be living in a lap of luxury. Read 1984, Brave New World, Fahrenheit 451. Those in charge never follow their own rules. In Brave New World, they are to still, even though you are Alpha Plus, you still belong to society. You are still expected to do certain things, but they don't. In 1984, literature, music, and art have been outlawed. But of course, the upper echelons, those at the very top, still have all the books, records, and movies. Equilibrium, a Christian Bale movie, is very similar to what I call Huxwell. People are given a drug every day that they themselves inject, and it removes all their emotions. They are automatons, going to work and coming home, going to work and coming home. They are taught from a young age to inform on their parents and friends if they are sense offenders. All art, music, and everything else is burned. But of course, the people running the show, they're not taking that shot, and they're living with all of these luxuries. And anyone who finds out is killed. My only solace, and I've said this many times, my only solace is that either I will not be here when it starts, or that when they come for me, I'll stack them up like cordwood till one of them gets the right shot off. I will not go gently into the good night. I will not bow to an earthly tyrant, and I will not submit to their rule. And there are millions upon millions just like me in every country. And the saddest part is that when they finally get that shot and take me down, and the rest of us, all of the sheep who by that point will be bleeding for help. This is not what we wanted. This is not what socialism is. We wanted to be equal. Once all of those who could do something are dead, they will be crying out, demanding to know why no one stopped them, blaming and vilifying the dead for daring to stand up early and make targets of themselves, as opposed to knuckling under until the time was right to take control. They'll never learn. So the simple question at this point is, are you ready for it? It's going to happen. The governments of the world are too hell-bent on their great reset, where all of us, we will own nothing and we'll be happy, while they will own everything and live as royals. There's an old saying that you can't lead where you won't go. Well, I'm willing to go. If that means standing in front of their thugs at my home, or if that means standing up to their thugs when I see their thugs trying to hurt someone, I will. And it will likely cost me my life. But I would rather meet God knowing I stood up for what is right, that I fought for liberty for everyone, than meet him after living as a servant to an earthly tyrant. So as the man in the boat said to Indiana Jones in Last Crusade, my soul is ready. Is yours?